Have you ever wondered how to find cheap airline tickets? Have you ever wondered when the best time to book a ticket is? Have you ever wanted to save hundreds of dollars on airfare? Today, I'll show you how to do just that as we'll establish different ways to get airline tickets for the best possible price. This is going to be a blast, and I'm super excited for this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Welcome everybody to How to Find Affordable Airline Tickets Online. I hope all of you are excited for this today, as we'll establish various concepts that will help you get the best price possible when you're on your next flight. This is going to be really fun today, and I'm really excited to bring all my advice to the table. I've been finding these really low airfares for about 2 years now, and I'm really excited to bring each and every tactic that I've learned over that 2-year period to you, so you're able to get the best possible prices as well. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, and I've finally been able to compile all the information you need to know to do just this. So with that being said, we're not going to waste any further time and just go ahead and get into it, everyone. So this is how to find affordable airline tickets. So I'm just going to get straight to the chase. I'll kind of elaborate as we go throughout, but it's kind of tricky, but Southwest Airlines is the big difference, to say the least, in the United States. So first, we must establish what market you're in. So it's a really essential concept to know where you're at, so you know if you have Southwest Airlines at your disposal or not. So does Southwest Airlines fly to your airport? That's a simple question to answer, and we can kind of take a look at some various examples of why Southwest flying to a market is so important. Here's an example to Orlando International Airport, one of the hottest tourist destinations in the United States, on a January Wednesday. As you can see here, with Southwest Airlines in play, it is $125 out of the Tulsa International Airport, where out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it is $250. So as you can tell, it is certainly very tough to find good airfare out of these markets that Southwest Airlines doesn't serve. And that takes us straight into our point. Southwest Airlines usually cuts the price of airline tickets by half, which is known as the Southwest Airlines effect. And here's all the airports that Southwest Airlines flies to. As you can tell, they have huge focuses there in the southwestern region, but obviously have expanded all throughout their origin, Texas, and plenty of destinations now in the Northeast as well. So there are certainly various opportunities for you to find Southwest Airlines in your area. As you can tell, I'm right here, so fortunate to have them. But as you can tell, they do fly to many areas around, and even to places like Hawaii, Mexico, and the Caribbean as well. Make an effort if possible to fly out of a Southwest market, excluding your ULCC flights, which is an ultra low-cost carrier. So that would be Allegiant, Frontier, and Spirit. So if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend driving to a Southwest airport. You're going to save tremendous funds, and we'll kind of show you some examples throughout this presentation of why it's so important to do just that. It's also critical to establish that Southwest Airlines is the only carrier that offers full flight credit, seat selection, which is open seating right now, and up to 3 bags with their lowest fare. Is this important to you? So do you need these checked bags? Do you need carry-on bags? Do you care about your seat selection? And do you want a flight credit if you cancel? That is super important when we go throughout this presentation today, because if you do care about this, Southwest Airlines 100% will always be your best option with regards to affordability. But if you're good with basic economy, utilizing a personal item to its fullest potential, and possibly losing money if you have to cancel, then the other carriers may be a better option. We'll talk about this. So first and foremost, before we talk about any of the markets, we really need to establish the 2 types of Southwest Airlines sales that are important when you're booking tickets, and that's the fixed rate sales and the percentage sales. So let's go ahead and establish both of those. Fixed rate sales are ticket prices, so that's going to, or fixed ticket prices, excuse me. So an example would be $59 and happen often, almost every Tuesday. This is the best time to book nonstop flights. So as you can see here, we actually have a sale going on right now as we speak, which is $59 celebrating Halloween, and we have various travel included, including the month of December. So let's go ahead and take a look at kind of what that looks like. So as you can see here, we have American Airlines and Southwest Airlines both competing here with $59 tickets from Tulsa to Dallas airports. And as you can see here, other airlines like American and United will compete on these fixed rate sales with basic economy prices. So we'll look at some more examples in a moment, but that is an important concept to establish if you're trying to fly nonstop from like to Denver, Dallas, wherever it is in a Southwest market. And as you can tell, other airlines will compete. Now, your percentage sales are percentage discounted tickets, so an example would be 40%, and these happen only a few times a year. If you can catch it, this is the best time to book connecting itineraries, and this will make more sense later as I show you kind of some examples. Other carriers will compete with connecting itineraries on basic economy, so let me go ahead and show you what that kind of looks like. So here's a great example here of a Southwest 50% sale from September 26th to 28th, and as you can see here, this is a really great time to get discounts on all flights, and this can still prove to be a powerful time to book non nonstop flights, but I'll show you why the fixed rates are a little bit better in a moment. And as you can see right here, here's a really good example of what it looks like with just the normal prices out there. So as you can see, we have United, American, Delta, and Southwest Airlines all competing to San Francisco International Airport for $168. Southwest has the policies I talked about with the check bags and the flight credit and all that. They're at $168, whereas the other airlines are all basic economy right there. And you can even see United Airlines doesn't include a suitcase with their basic economy, but all the carriers do not include seat selections, nor do they include flight credit if you cancel. So keep that in mind with their lowest fare. Now, as you can see here, here's a great graph to show you what happens during a sale. So the normal price is kind of right here, as you can see, a couple of small dips here and there, but for the most part staying consistent in this area. And then Southwest Airlines has a 40% sale right here, so you can see it drops 40% all the way down to under $120, and it pops back up for just a little bit. This is what happens when they try to get biters, and then it once again comes down one more time before it flatlines again, and as you can tell, it will drop off just a little bit. So it's pretty fascinating to see how that all works. Now, the last major Southwest percentage sales are listed here. You can see in September and June is the biggest times when they have the biggest sales. So you can see 40 and 50% respectively for September of 24 and June of 24. They will have some other ones as well, such as Cyber Monday, and they did have a couple of winter ones as well. This is the first time they had a major 40% off in the January month from what I remember. So yeah, keep that in mind. But the absolute best times to connect or book these connecting itineraries is the second week in June. That's their birthday. In the last week of September, they also have a huge sale. Typically, they have for the last several years. This is the best time to book. I can't stress it enough. If you can catch it during this time, you're going to save tremendous funds, so keep that in mind. However, these other smaller ones do help as well, and they definitely can save money too, so keep that in mind. So with this concept established, it's finally time to talk about the 3 types of city pair flying to get you your best affordable tickets. So that's really applicable for Southwest markets. If you're not in one, I apologize in advance, but you can see the emphasis on it and how important it is to be in the Southwest market if you can be. From big city to big city, these are always going to be the most affordable tickets, and the best time to book them is 1 to 3 months from the time of the flight. Here's a big city pair from Orlando to Atlanta, and as you can see here, Spirit and Frontier, those ULCCs that I talked about previously, have the lowest price. You can see here $27 and $33. Ultra low cost carriers are the airlines that start with the bare bones fares and let the customer decide what add-ons they want. So this is going to be your seat selection, your baggage, priority boarding, whatever else you want. These airlines are fantastic for anybody who is good with traveling with just a personal item and does not mind non-complimentary seat selections. So if you can get all your items in a duffel bag, for example, or whatever you can get down to the personal item size, like a backpack or whatever, these carriers are fantastic for the most part. And once again, non-complimentary seat selection, and also want to emphasize the non-refundable fares. However, these airlines do have bundles, and if you would like to see more of an in-depth explanation on that in the future, let me know and I can definitely do a video on that. They also have, or that's what I just said, I just reiterated what I had listed there. So yeah, you can tell the emphasis on how important that is. But these airlines can be absolutely fantastic. However, even with that established, the big city pairs have the legacy carriers offering reasonable prices as well with those add-ons. So you can see Delta Airlines, for example, with $90 tickets, and they have the suitcase and some other really cool perks there as well. And you also see Southwest Airlines also listed here because they are a factor on the majority of the big city routes. So they will be there in some capacity. But as you can tell, it's 3 times the cost on the big city pairs. So typically the ULCCs could even come out to be a better price even with the add-ons. It just depends on the type of traveler and what you're looking for. Those are the biggest factors. It's also important to note that legacy carriers like American, Delta, and United will offer basic economy, which I've kind of explained already. Non-refundable does not include seat selection, and normal economy does have a travel credit if you cancel in the seat selections. And United does not offer a carry-on on basic economy, keep that in mind. So here's kind of the price distribution. Google Flights is such an outstanding tool. I'll show you some examples here in a moment, but as you can see, it tells you which carriers have what. So for example, Delta has no seat selection, but they do have the free carry-on bag, which is fantastic. So these breakdowns are really helpful and definitely great if you're not familiar with the airline's policies from a glance. Again, utilizing Google Flights is absolutely essential. I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. Flights on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays will always be the most affordable, and I highly recommend using the functionality on Google Flights, such as tracking the prices in the price graph to get the best price possible, and it's pretty essential. So you have this track prices button. I'll show you how that works in a moment. And here's the graph that we saw previously, so you can kind of get an idea of what the price is looking like and when it will flatline and when it will move and so on. So you can see booking out a little bit farther in advance for this particular ticket can help, but as you can tell, it's only the difference of like $20 there. So it just depends on what you're doing. And Google Flights will send you regular emails if you request them for tickets that you're tracking. This is really helpful to catch a fare before it's too late. Here's an example that I utilized earlier this year from Tulsa to Orlando on Allegiant. You can see here it only dropped $6, but this was the best time to book it. I don't have the graph on hand, but that was the lowest possible price. So definitely keep your eye on it, and when you think it's reasonable or when you're ready to pull the trigger, that is the best time to book for sure. These concepts are important to understand as we move into the small city, the big city sector. This is by far the trickiest flights to get at the exact right time. We have two subsections of this, which is the Southwest markets and the non-Southwest markets. So all of what I said previously about Southwest really applies here. It's much easier to get Southwest tickets as they go on sale quite often for obviously those non-stop flights, as I talked about previously. The other carriers do want to compete on this, so you'll find good prices. So let me know what you all think that we're doing here. This is a really good critical thinking example. As you can tell, we have two different graphs. I really want you all to note the dips here, and I want you to note the dips here. Keep those in mind and kind of think about that as we move forward. And don't feel bad if you don't know what's going on here. This is pretty advanced knowledge here in the sector. So the top graph is Southwest Airlines. So I really want to emphasize this piece right here. You might be able to get an idea. It's been hinted at previously, and I really want to note what's going on with this drop as well. Keep that in mind. All right, so here's what's going on with those two graphs. Okay, so here's the graphs once again. This is the Southwest graph. So this is the normal Southwest price here. And this is dropped just slightly right here to get some bites as United dropped it just slightly. So that's exactly what they're trying to do. Back to its normal price. And this was the initial fixed rate sell price. So you can see here, it dropped here. Actually, I'm sorry, this is actually the 40% sell. But what happened was United wanted to compete with this sell, so they actually dropped all the way down to $50 on this ticket, which is crazy, which you would expect more from fixed rate sell. But United's very good at competing in various ways. So this price is dropped to compete with United, and this little window right here, 100% is the absolute best time to book. I really highly recommend keeping an eye on United when Southwest does these percentage sales, as United typically will drop substantially on their tickets to compete, and they go really low. So that really helps. And then Southwest has to come down. This is the time to book right here. Don't sit on it too long. If it looks even decent, I would recommend going for it if you can. But as you can see, it's back to normal here, and that's kind of it. So United will also try to get bites, so keep that in mind. This doesn't happen every time. It's pretty tough to predict, but this is why if you see it drop way below what it normally is, that's the time to get it. So wait for a Southwest sell to book on any sort of Southwest ticket if you can, especially those nonstop flights. The best time to book is 1 to 4 months out, and we can go into more examples of that momentarily. So for non-Southwest markets, it's a little bit tougher. First, you have to decide if you're good with the ultra low-cost carrier and the parameters that come with that. 1 to 4 months out is usually the best time to book, and the prices don't usually change out of the smaller markets very often. So for example, Sioux Falls to Denver, for example, $29. You'll see it kind of in that area. It doesn't change too much. You'll see it maybe go up to 45 and maybe come back down to 24, but for the most part, it stays in the area. Another cool part with Frontier and Spirit is you'll also note that they have connecting itineraries. You can also find this on Breeze sometimes as well. And as you can see here, this is an itinerary from Sioux Falls to Las Vegas. And as you can tell, it's $54 with a 4-hour layover in Denver. Are you good with that? Do you want to save the money to be able to do that? Or do you want to pay $230 for one of the legacy carriers? That decision is completely up to you. But of course, it's definitely important to note that these are options to save big time money. If an ultra low cost carrier out of your airport is not an option for the place that you're trying to go, keeping an eye on the price is essential as it can change on a dime. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's an example from Northwest Arkansas Airport to Seattle. This is a market that doesn't have any nonstop flights and also doesn't have any, low-cost competition, options on this particular day. You can see here that airlines will try to undercut you with longer layover times and basic economy. That's what United's doing here with these 6 and 4-hour layovers here for a better price than what you would find on a reasonable connection. So for $325, you can take any of these here on basic economy to Seattle. So keep that in mind and why it's so essential if you can to find a Southwest market, but if you can't, then it's kind of tough. You got to use a low-cost carrier if you can at the absolute must. And as you can see, the further out you start tracking, the better deals you can get. About a month out is when you'll see this big spike right here. So if you go back here, I would rather pay $240 than $325 for sure. So keep that in mind when you're looking to it. And you can even tell that this is low for this route at this point in the process, which is crazy to think about. But also keep that all in mind. Unfortunately, for small city, it's pretty bland and it's really, really tough. Here's an example from Shreveport, Louisiana to Sioux Falls. $283 with 2 stops on United, or you can pay $340, and that's for basic economy. No suitcase included in that. They'll fly with even, just reasonable layovers through with American or United there. And as you can tell, it can get very hefty really, really quick. Always see if you can find at least one bigger airport to work with. Thank you to the interstate highway system. There are airports, I'll go back to that graph in a moment to show you, but it is possible to find, a bigger airport to work with within a reasonable drive time. Otherwise, it's money. So yeah, that's the full rundown here on that. And I'll show you a couple examples momentarily, but these are the essential concepts. But again, let me go back to that Southwest graph because now you probably understand why this is so important. So if you live Springfield, you can go to Tulsa. If you live in, Chattanooga, you could go to Nashville. If you live in, Melbourne, Florida, you can get to Orlando. There are options, and it all comes with driving, but it might be worth saving that price, or maybe it's worth flying a Legacy to you. So now I'm going to show you a brief example of what it kind of looks like with the fixed rate sales for Southwest in play, and kind of just a couple of other examples. If you would like to see a follow-up video with a percentage sale for Southwest or other criteria, or even flying internationally, let me know, but I really hope this was all helpful. Here's kind of what the fixed rate sale looks like for Southwest. As you can tell, discounted fares on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, whereas you have some discounted fares on Thursdays and Saturdays as well, and Mondays. Friday and Sundays are always premium travel days. Southwest does not discount very often, thus the rest of the carriers won't. But as you can see, American Airlines is competing here with Southwest on these tickets. In fact, they're being even more competitive on this particular day, as Southwest has the higher fares, but American wants to undercut them. So as you can see here, basic economy for American, no ticket changes, but you do get a free carry-on, so that's fantastic. And the seat selection is for a fee. But as for the main cabin there, as you can see, you do get a free seat selection, and you also get the free change with the possible fare difference or a flight credit if you cancel. Another market that Southwest has a monopoly on out of Tulsa International that they significantly discount is the St. Louis flights. So you can see here for $59 here at 4 o'clock, which is very cool. And American competes on that just a little bit. And then let me show you kind of what a normal example looks like for an airport like Denver, for instance. So you can see here it's $98 between the two. That's just kind of what the normal price is right now. Here's the graph that I showed you previously. Here's the big sale right here. So this is a great time to get it when they're on sale. As you can see, they are fairly reasonable as it is. Let's go ahead and look at big city to big city again. Denver to Las Vegas is a very competitive flight here, and as you can tell, Frontier agrees with that with a $29 fare. But the other carriers are definitely not unreasonable too, as you can get United and Southwest for $58 each. Keep in mind, Southwest may be the better option for you if you want a flight credit, if you want, obviously that seat, whatever, open seat policy. You can find whatever seat you want if you need that flight credit. It might be a better option than United, where you're going to have to pay for a complimentary seat selection. You're going to have to pay for a carry-on, which is absolutely crazy, to be honest. And you're definitely not going to get a flight credit if you cancel. So keep that all in mind when you're flying these carriers. There are also other ultra-low-cost carrier options. Las Vegas to Los Angeles is a wonderful example of that, where you have carriers like Spirit. Google Flights actually will also give you a free price guarantee. So if the price drops before the takeoff, they'll refund you the money, which is kind of cool. On Spirit's the main airline I've seen that for. So it is kind of a cool advantage, but again, the price doesn't change too much. You can see it was down at $24. So yeah, it is worth noting that, but it's the difference of $7. It's not that big of a deal. And then these are some of the lowest legacy carrier flights you can find. So if you prefer a little bit better seating and whatnot, and you know that you're going to be able to take the flight, maybe American or Delta would be better for you in this case. And you can definitely see the examples there. Let's go ahead and look at one more just for the sake of getting as much variety as possible. Here's Phoenix to Los Angeles, which thank you, Frontier, for coming into that LAX market to make more tickets affordable. They're offering $24 on this day to LAX, whereas you can find tickets on American, United, and Southwest over there for $50, which is still a great price. And once again, do you want the bags? Do you want the flight credit? All of that. Southwest is such a good airline for those reasons, and you got to take advantage if you can. Once again, the tickets on a route like this aren't going to change very much. So you can see $29, $24, and it just remains throughout. It's very affordable to fly between those two cities. Los Angeles to Tulsa is not as good as you can tell here. We have 4 nonstop flights. The other American ones down here, as you can tell, because it's premium time. But as you can tell, $155 for basic economy on American, or $155 on Southwest. There's no ultra low cost carrier. It's going to be higher, so it's kind of tough to work around. So you got to keep that in mind. Another really quick undercut option, I'll just provide this since, might as well. You could do 2 separate airlines if you want. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're comfortable with it. So Phoenix to Dallas, for example, you can get for $44 and get to Dallas by 9 o'clock. And then you could do Dallas to Tulsa on the last flight of the day on American at 9:45 and get in Tulsa at 11 o'clock. So there are options out there that end up being more affordable than the 155. But again, you got to be really comfortable with the system, know exactly where you're going. I can definitely make a follow-up video on that too, so let me know. But just think outside the box if you want. I'd recommend incorporating layover times with multiple airlines too, at least 2 or 3 hours. So keep that in mind, but there are ways to undercut it. And let's go ahead and take a look at a small to a non ultra low cost, one more big city, small city with no low cost carrier comparison. And it's not going to be Dallas because it's an unfair example because it's a hub to hub. So let's go with, I don't know, LAX should be a good one here. You can see that's pretty tough, and you got to keep that in mind. And there's no Southwest in the market. So if we look at the price graph, not very much movement. You know, it was down here at 104. Thank you, United. And they do discount because United structures theirs by discounting the actual segment itself, and because there's low cost competition on Denver to LAX, that's why the price was so much lower for a while. But as you can see here, 188 is what it is right now. So you got to keep that in mind, and there are other options. Google Flights will also offer self transfers. This is kind of the concept I talked about previously, but because FSD to LAS is so high, it doesn't really matter in this case, so that's kind of funny. Anyway though, let's go ahead and look at Miami just for one more example here, and you can tell it's a premium market, going to be tough. Some airlines will undercut with multiple layover options like this American segment here, so keep that in mind, but otherwise it's pretty fascinating. And then lastly, I want to show small city to small city. What's the most random city I can think of? I like Billings, Montana today. And it's surprisingly less. It just depends on the market. But as you can tell here, it can be all the way up to $269 for even a reasonable layover there. Another great example is, let's use Billings to, why not, Melbourne, Florida, because why not? It's probably going to default to Orlando. Actually, it doesn't. And you can tell it can become reasonable at times, but this is a tough city pair because it's so far away. Or what's another good one for Billings? How about, I like Greenville, Spartanburg, maybe? Yeah, as you can tell here, $269 on American, but it's certainly an option out there, and it's great for anybody that's interested. So I really hope all of you enjoyed this. I would love to do a follow-up to this if any of you would be interested in more details regarding how the structure of the airlines work. I really hope this is helpful. Definitely go find you a Southwest market if you can. I really am glad to finally get this video done. I've been looking forward to making it for a long time, and I really hope this helps you out in any way possible. So if you want more information, please let me know. But anyway, that will do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Aviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Just process. Do you love and love what you do? My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.